So we are a bank by structure. However, our strategy, our plans, our execution is very development in nature. So you can think about it from the perspective of our partnerships in the market. We're happy to partner with anybody, work with anybody as a development bank to help us achieve the mandate that we have of increasing and accelerating the economic development of the country in the 5 key sectors. Commercial banks, you can only imagine, as again they're looking to maximize shareholder returns, will be focused on having that maximum market share and wallet share. We're actually partnered with commercial banks, and we're happy to do so on various programs if it meets the mandate of the bank and the objectives that we're striving to achieve. So although of course we are a bank and we give your facilities and your term loans, we look at it from a patient debt approach. So we try to extend our tenors out as far as we can, typically on average over 10 years, in order to assist and help the entrepreneurs and the business owners who are setting up their projects here in the UAE to be able to have that flexibility and ease when it comes to repayments. We're also very, very happy to extend moratoriums and principal holidays in order to ensure that, again, the project is up and running, generating income and revenue, and payback is coming in before the entrepreneur or the business owner has to make any principal payments. So we at EDB have a development scorecard that we've created in-house ourselves, whereby we don't just do credit underwriting for the transactions and the deals that we go into, but we actually evaluate every single deal against this scorecard. This scorecard outputs for us a score of 1 to 5. Based on that, we then know, 5 being the highest, we then know how we're going to structure the deal. So if we're going to be competitive in our pricing, it has to be linked back to the economic impact on the development scorecard. Commercial banks, of course, will look at RAROC calculations, return on risk-adjusted capital. Again, fairly so, in order to maximize shareholder returns. So these are some of the key elements that you could say really differentiate us from commercial banks. These are 5 key sectors that have been identified by the government of the United Arab Emirates, the federal government, as key sectors for development over the next 5 to 10 years. It actually goes into the 2030 plan. And the purpose of that is for the diversification from oil GDP to non-oil GDP, as well as key sectors where we believe we should be self-reliant and sustainable within the UAE. So I would say that manufacturing and building the industrial base of the country is really our key area of focus for EDB. We are partnered with the majority of the industrial free zones across the various Emirates, and that is definitely the key area of focus for EDB going into the future as well, is helping accelerate the development of the industrial base of the country. The EDB Digital Bank solves the problem of long, cumbersome account opening processes with commercial banks. Again, commercial banks, rightfully so, have a lot of checks in place from an anti-money laundering and compliance perspective, which hinders businesses from being able to open and operate in the country, because sometimes that process can take 3 months, it could even take longer, and many times it results in rejections. And a lot of times that segment of the market is not necessarily commercially viable for the commercial banks to be able to put in that kind of infrastructure in place. But as a development bank, of course, we want to promote as many entrepreneurs to be able to start their companies and businesses here in the country. And since we've launched, we've onboarded approximately 800 companies till date. This was a fantastic achievement, because this digital bank allowed us to onboard these companies, have accounts fully activated within less than 48 hours. At the same time, it's 100% free to use. There's no daily, monthly fees, there's no minimum balance charges, there's no minimum balance requirements. It's an account that allows an entrepreneur and SME to be able to access the financial sector of the UAE. It's a UAE-based digital bank. It operates in Emirati dirham, and there's many things that we're going to be building on this into the near future. We're looking to approve closer to 5 billion in loans this year. So quite a jump. We're talking about close to a 7x jump. Those are in funded lines. Another 800 million in unfunded lines. That's on your facilities and loans. We're also accelerating the digital bank. So again, although the loans are quite important for the larger companies, your mid caps, your large caps, for the smaller cap companies, it's actually having the transactional banking and the capability to access the banking sector of the UAE. So we're also accelerating the growth of the digital bank. We're adding on to the digital bank things like bill payments, remittances, and we're reducing the account opening time, which will hopefully be better than just about any digital bank in the world, dare I say. We're working very closely with fintechs and government entities and bringing all these partners together in order to provide the best solutions to entrepreneurs and SMEs. On one hand, we're tying in with the Departments of Economic Development, and we're tying in with the UAE Pass of the country in order to enable the KYC process, but to also be able to pull the relevant documentation information such as trade licenses and shareholders agreements from the Departments of Economic Development. This is a segment of the market that has historically been underserved because of their commercial value to commercial banks, which is obviously much less than your mid caps and your large caps. So much of our digital transformation within the organization, whether the products and services side or whether on the operations and internal IT infrastructure, has been geared towards serving that segment of the market. We are not taking bureaucratic processes and policies and building digital layers above them. We are scrapping those and revamping and revising how we go about our business when entering the market and dealing with our clients and customers in order to ensure that we provide the best product and services. The best way I can position it, that Emirates Development Bank is a gatekeeper. And we're not looking to empire build either. We're not looking at how we can empire build in-house in order to extract as much value for EDB. Actually, quite the contrary. We're trying to see how we can extract as much value as possible for the entrepreneurs and the small business owners. And when I say that we're acting as a gatekeeper, we are essentially the middleman that will bring these partners, whether they are fintechs, whether they are government entities, whether they're in the private sector with private companies, and how they can add values and services onto our digital platform. So this is I would say, the ethos that we're going through now in developing and building our digital transformation, our digital infrastructure for the organization.